the story of Vioxx. The year is 1999. The golden bullet of painkillers hits the market.
Vioxx is here, a prescription medicine for osteoarthritis pain.
Championed by Merck, the godfathers of pharmacy. This painkiller belongs to the same class of drugs as ibuprofen, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But unlike older drugs, Vioxx is more selective.
Vioxx specifically targets only the COX-2 enzyme, a key source of arthritis pain.
With $67 million in advertisement in the first 4 months, boy did it fly off the shelves, becoming Merck's second biggest selling drug with an estimated $3 billion in sales, just in time to cushion the bottom line before the expiration of $5 billion worth of medical patent. In 2001, 2 years after hitting the market, concerns about increased cardiovascular risk with Vioxx was raised to the FDA, with an estimated 4 heart attacks per 1,000 patients. But Merck denied any reason to be concerned. As sales in Vioxx kept skyrocketing, a secondary benefit seemed to be emerging regarding its potential in the reduction of colonic polyps, which are growths in the large intestines that sometimes turn into cancer. To capitalize on this, a clinical trial, ironically called Approve, was set in motion by Merck in 2004, was a nail in the coffin for Vioxx. It showed that compared to the control group, people taking Vioxx were at increased risk of heart attacks and strokes. This was particularly high for those taking the medication for more than 18 months.
The New Journal of Medicine is considered the gold standard when it comes to medical reporting, and yesterday it published a major correction. It all revolves around a Vioxx.
Here you have the major journal in America that's saying that the information that was presented by a major pharmaceutical company was dead wrong.
Risk showed up when people used the Vioxx for as little as 4 months. Originally, the journal took the drug maker at its word that the problem started after 18 months of use.
Another study published in 2006 showed that for some, the increased risk for strokes and heart attack was visible within 2 weeks of starting the medication. In September of 2004, Merck voluntarily pulled Vioxx from the market.
We are voluntarily withdrawing Vioxx effective today because we believe it best serves the interests of patients.
Merck has pulled its best-selling drug Vioxx from the market.
Merck announced the worldwide recall of its most popular drug, Vioxx.
Before the pull, it was estimated that 4 million Americans had already taken the medication, with over 107 million tablets dispensed and 140,000 heart attacks plus 60,000 deaths, according to an FDA investigator.
My name is David Graham, and I'm pleased to come before you today to speak about Vioxx, heart attacks, and the FDA.
It seems that before Vioxx hit the market in 1999, a study sponsored by Merck in 1996-1997 had given the first alarm bells of concern regarding how the medication could increase the propensity for clotting. This was shown by its activity on COX-2 in endothelium, tipping the balance between prostacyclin and thromboxane, increasing the likelihood of clots. In 1999, a study designed to increase the approved indication for Vioxx was put in place to prove that Vioxx had a safer GI profile than other painkillers from the same family. If this was proven, Merck could claim an additional indication for the medication, which can be used to extend the patent. The longer you have a patent on a given drug, the longer your competitors can watch you milk the cash cow from the sidelines. In November of that same year, preliminary data had shown 79% increase in cardiovascular risk and death in one treatment group compared to the other. The safety committee had to intervene, but there was an undisclosed conflict of interest. The head of the committee had a $70,000 ownership in shares within Merck, and he had also been awarded a 2-year consulting contract 2 weeks before the trial ended. Based on internal emails, it appears that the authors of the 1996 paper who raised concerns for the possible clotting were persuaded to see things from the right perspective upon Merck's request.
I mean, I can't alter evidence. The phrasing of the conclusion that you have to worry about, that's all the press will read.
Leading to a rewording of the interpretation of their findings, softening the blow. In 1997, email by a Merck official, Briggs Morris, he argued that unless patients in the virus also got aspirin, you will get more thrombotic events and kill the drug. Alice Rison, now a Merck vice president for clinical research, proposed that people with a high risk of cardiovascular problems be kept out of the studies so the difference in the rate of cardiovascular problems between the Vioxx patient and others would not be evident. The Vioxx study, published in 2000 in the New England Journal, was also given some airbrushing and contouring to understate the cardiovascular risk. By ending the cardiovascular event counts the month before, they did not include 3 heart attacks that occurred the subsequent month in those taking the medication, but counted the lack thereof of GI symptoms. The heart problems were enough of a concern for the chief scientist of Merck, to send an email saying it is a shame, but it's a low incidence and it's a mechanism based as we worried it was, balanced between prostacyclin and carboxyl. Notwithstanding that, results were advertised to doctors with 1 million reprints. Marketers were given response sheets on how to answer doctors if they raised any concerns about the cardiovascular profile of the medication. Merck said the internal emails and marketing materials were taken out of context. Those that questioned the safety of the medication did not go unscathed, though Merck denies any intimidations. In 2002, a Spanish pharmacologist, Dr. Laporte, received the rectification order from Merck officials following a publication criticizing the cardiovascular profile of Vioxx and Merck's role in it. Following his refusal to comply, a lawsuit was filed against him in a Spanish court demanding a public correction. In 2004, a judge ruled in favor of Mr. Laporte, but that did not sit right with Merck. In an annual meeting of pharmacology, where Dr. Laporte was due to be featured on, Merck had sponsored this meeting 8 years in a row. Dr. Moreira, the organizer, was contacted. Laporte had to be sidelined this year. Dr. Moreira said no. This led to the withdrawal of the financial support by Merck, an estimated $140,000. The peer review process is when peers of similar academic competence review the soundness of one's work to ensure its authenticity. When the reviewers are on the payroll of the one in whose interests it is that a paper is favorably assessed, eyebrows can be justifiably raised. In 2001, the Circulation published a paper looking at the cardiovascular profile of Vioxx. The analysis was favorable. It so happened that 5 of the 7 authors were Merck employees. Even in the darkest of pits, light shines on occasion. The chief scientist at Merck, upon seeing the paper, remarked, "The data appears to have been interpreted to support a preconceived hypothesis." The Annals of Internal Medicine, where it emerged that a paper purporting to be independently written to look at the GI profile of Vioxx was in actuality ghost-written by Merck. Though Merck denies any wrongdoing to date, with over 60,000 claims of personal injury, they settled lawsuits in 2013 for $4.85 billion, $950 million for alleged illegal marketing of Vioxx.
Prior to approval of Vioxx, a study that was performed by Merck named 090, which found a nearly 7-fold increase in heart attack risk with low-dose Vioxx. The labeling and approval said nothing about these heart attack risks. In November 2000, another Merck trial named Vigor found a 5-fold increase in heart attack risk with the high-dose form of Vioxx. About 18 months after the Vigor results were published, FDA made a labeling change about heart attack risk.
$320 million in fine for misbranding the drugs.
Studies that were done excluded the patients who were at highest risk for heart attack and who would make up a large portion of the people who get the drug afterwards.
$628 million regarding the false statement on cardiovascular safety, as it is believed to have influenced doctors in prescribing the medication.
You've got a drug that's increasing the risk of heart attack 5-fold. It takes them 2 years to get the information out to physicians.
And even then, the cardiovascular risk was not placed in the warning section of the label. During that period, Merck was aggressively marketing Vioxx.
$820 million settlement for damages to investors.
Today, the stock dropped nearly 27%.
Due to the withdrawal of the medication in 2004. It's a game of chess.
And we are the pawns.